Good morning, students. Today we will be discussing the chapter that is foreign exchange rate. And the contents which are to be covered in foreign exchange rate, that is meaning of foreign exchange rate, types of foreign exchange rate, that is fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, and managed floating also. And how the flexible exchange rate is determined, and what are the determinants of demand for foreign exchange, determinants of supply of foreign exchange, and the relationship between price of foreign exchange and demand for foreign exchange, and so also the relationship between the price of foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange, and how equilibrium rate of foreign exchange is determined. And lastly, we will discuss that is depreciation of domestic currency and appreciation of domestic currency. Now you come to the meaning of foreign exchange rate. It is the price of one currency in terms of another currency. It can be defined in two alternative ways. It means the number of units of domestic currency required to buy a unit of foreign currency. For example, $1 is equal to rupees 50. Exchange rate between India and America. It means the number of units of foreign currency that can be purchased in exchange for a unit of domestic currency. And for example, 1 rupee is equal to 1 by $50. The rate at which the currency of one country is converted into currency of other country is also called the foreign exchange rate or rate of foreign exchange. Now we come to types of foreign exchange rate. There are three types of foreign exchange rate. One is fixed exchange rate, another is flexible exchange rate, and another is managed floating. Fixed exchange rate system. Fixed exchange rate system refers to the system in which the rate of exchange for a currency is fixed by the government. Under this system, government is responsible to stabilize the exchange rate. And under fixed exchange rate system, each country maintains the value of its currency fixed in terms of gold, silver, other precious metal, or another country's currency, etc. So this fixed exchange rate system, here the government fixes the rate at which the domestic currency will be exchanged with the foreign currency. Clear? Now we are coming to flexible exchange rate system. In flexible exchange rate system, the exchange rate is determined by the market forces of demand for foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange. There is no government intervention in market forces of demand for foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange. So the exchange rate at which demand for foreign currency is equal to its supply is called par rate exchange. That is the normal rate or equilibrium rate of foreign exchange. It is called flexible because it tends to change with changes in market forces of demand and supply. As demand and supply changes or any one of them changes, it also changes. That's why it is known as flexible exchange rate system. Now we are coming to managed floating rate system. It refers to a system in which foreign exchange rate is determined by market forces and central bank stabilizes the exchange rate in case of appreciation or depreciation of domestic currency. Though it is determined by market forces, but the central bank will intervene and stabilize the exchange rate system. Suppose there is appreciation or depreciation of domestic currency. It is a system of adjustment in the exchange rate to influence the value of a country's currency. It is also called a hybrid system because it is a mixture of, you can say, fixed exchange rate system and flexible exchange rate system. If a country is manipulating the exchange rate by not following the rules and regulations, it is called dirty floating. However, the central bank follow a certain set of rules and regulations to influence the exchange rate. Now we come to determination of flexible exchange rate. Flexible rate of exchange is the rate at which is determined by the demand for and supply of currencies in the foreign exchange market. And if we come to discuss the determinants of demand for foreign exchange, that means the demand for foreign exchange arises in order to make payment in foreign currency. It is demanded by domestic residents for the following reasons. That is, if we import goods and services from abroad, and for tourism purposes also, of remittances by foreigners working in India, and repayment of interest and loans, extension of loans to the foreigners, and you can say speculation of foreign currencies, or you can say Indians are investing abroad. So all these cases there is a demand for foreign exchange. Relation between foreign exchange, price of foreign exchange and demand for foreign exchange. There is an inverse relationship between price of foreign exchange and the demand for foreign exchange. Means at a higher price, less of the foreign exchange is demanded, and vice versa. That's why in the diagram it is shown that the DD is the demand for foreign exchange. That curve is downward sloping because there is a inverse relationship between price of foreign exchange and demand for foreign exchange. And what are the sources or determinants of supply of foreign exchange? So any transaction that involves receipts of foreign exchange leads to an increase in the supply of foreign exchange. And main sources of supply of foreign exchange will be when we are exporting goods and services, or foreign tourists are visiting India, and remittances by Indians working abroad, and foreign direct investment by multinational companies, and deposits by non-resident Indians. So in all these cases there is a flow of foreign exchange, that is the supply of foreign exchange. That is supply of, it leads to supply of foreign exchange. Clear? And relation between price of foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange. Supply of foreign exchange has a direct relationship with the price of foreign exchange. Means if the price of foreign exchange goes up, the quantity supplied of foreign exchange will also rise. If the price of foreign exchange falls, the quantity supplied of foreign exchange will also fall. That's why the supply of foreign exchange is upward sloping curve. Determination of equilibrium exchange rate. Equilibrium exchange rate is determined at a point where quantity demanded and quantity supplied of foreign exchange are equal. This can be demonstrated with the help of the following figure. You can see, assuming foreign exchange is dollar. So OR is the price at which quantity demanded and quantity supplied of dollar, that is the foreign exchange, are equal. So demand for foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange, they are intersecting at point E, and correspondingly OR becomes the equilibrium price, that is the rate of exchange. That is the price at which demand for foreign exchange is equal to supply of foreign exchange. Now we are coming to depreciation of domestic currency. Depreciation of currency refers to decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. It occurs when there is an increase in the domestic currency price to buy a unit of foreign currency. If price of $1 rises from 60 to 70, that means there is depreciation of domestic currency. A rise in exchange rate implies depreciation of Indian rupee. Remember, if there is a rise in exchange rate, it indicates there is depreciation of Indian rupee. And causes for rise in exchange rate or increase in demand for foreign exchange, that is decrease in supply of foreign exchange, effects of depreciation of domestic currency on foreign trade, on exports and imports also. Effect of depreciation of exports, it encourages exports. Effect of depreciation of imports, it discourages imports. Appreciation of domestic currency. Appreciation of currency refers to increase in the value of domestic currency in foreign currency. It occurs when there is a decrease in the domestic currency price to buy a unit of foreign currency. For example, if $1 is exchanged for ₹60 and now the exchange rate falls from 50 for $1, this is appreciation of domestic currency. Means a fall in exchange rate implies appreciation of Indian rupee. Causes for decrease in exchange rate are fall in demand of foreign currency or rises in supply of foreign currency. These are the two causes which we can say fall in the demand for foreign currency and rises in the supply of foreign currency. So when we are coming to, that is fall in the demand for foreign currency and rise in the demand for rise in the supply of foreign currency. These are the two reasons for which we can say that is exchange rate will fall. This exchange rate, or we can say, will decrease. Effects of appreciation of domestic currency on foreign trade. Foreign trade means that is on exports and imports. Effect of appreciation of domestic currency. Suppose domestic currency is appreciated, you can see that it discourages exports. And if there is appreciation of domestic currency on imports, what will be its impact on imports? It encourages imports. Clear? So this is all about your appreciation of domestic currency and depreciation of domestic currency. Now we are coming to devaluation and depreciation. Devaluation is the fall in the value of domestic currency in relation to foreign currency as planned by the government. It is not determined by forces of demand and supply. It is fixed by the government of different countries. And depreciation is the fall in the value of domestic currency in relation to foreign currency in a situation where exchange rate is determined by the forces of demand and supply in the international you can say money market, or you can say foreign exchange market. So devaluation is the deliberate reduction in the value of domestic currency, and whereas depreciation is the done by the market forces of demand for foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange. Here one thing you can remember, that in 1991 when there was economic reforms, so foreign exchange reserves of our country was declined such a drastic decline that it was not sufficient for 2 weeks imports. For a fortnight it was not sufficient. That's why Indian government through economic reforms devalued its domestic currency, means Indian rupee was devalued in 1991. That means that the deliberate reduction in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency, that is devaluation. But depreciation is the same, and that is a reduction in the value of domestic currency is also there, but it is done by depreciation is done by the market forces of demand for foreign exchange and supply of foreign exchange in the foreign exchange market. With this we come to an end of the discussion of this chapter. Thank you.